What's going on, everybody? We are back again looking at some more draft prospects. We've made it through the quarterbacks, we've made it through the receivers, and now we're into the running backs, which is exciting because it's a big running back draft class, as everyone has been saying. But as always, I'm joined by my father, Jeff. How's it going, Dad?
Boomer up, everybody.
Boomer up. How was your overall thoughts? We were looking at four running backs in this video, the consensus top four. What was your thought overall of these guys?
Yeah, I'm quite impressed, with of course Bijan Robinson and kind of like the other guys too, and as always, I think it was what I've said is, it depends on where these guys go to and how they're used in an offense and stuff like that. So I'm sure a lot of these guys will get used in their first year. So, but it was some good video that
Mm-hmm.
we studied. So let's get to it.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. I think it's going to change a lot in the fantasy landscape where these guys go. Um, it's going to change a lot for sure. Get some fresh young legs in there. So yeah, we'll start. You already kind of mentioned his name. Consensus number one overall, Bijan Robinson. I don't really know how much we can say that's going to kind of change anything or sway any opinions. I mean, to me, the guy is a stud, and he kind of has the complete package. This is, of course, again, Bijan Robinson from Texas. He's most likely going to go in the first round, maybe even in the top half of the first round, which is rare for running backs these days. And no one really has many bad things to say about him. Um, but yeah, you want to give me your opinion on Bijan Robinson, Dad?
Yeah, he's played at Texas for 3 years, and he's had a lot of each year he's progressively gotten better. And of course, this past year he ran for over 1,500. Well, he ran for 1,575 yards, so quite impressive. There was a couple of games where he got shut down a little bit, maybe not related to exactly to him. I
Mm-hmm.
guess just kind of reading that he's got a ridiculous missed tackle rate. So and he needs he didn't really have maybe they weren't using him in this type of method, but he wasn't used a lot in the passing game. Doesn't mean he can't catch the ball and stuff like that, but he yeah, he's got the physical traits. He's big, 6 foot, 220, and
Mm-hmm.
he runs under a 4.5, 4.46. That's pretty quick. So he looks the part, definitely, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially when you get these bigger backs, 220, and if you're running in the 4.4s, that's impressive. Definitely very impressive, and he just kind of has it all, man. That's why they're saying, best prospect since Saquon Barkley, and I believe it. You just watch him, and he has it all. He has the speed, he has the agility, the burst, the vision. He didn't have a ton of catches, like you said. I think he'll be. I think he could be a huge catch guy in the NFL. I think he could be a 40 catch type of guy in the NFL, depending on if a team's going to want to use him. I don't know if someone's going to. I don't know if a team's going to want to give him 20 carries and 5 catches a game. Maybe that's a little bit too much. You want to, conserve these guys a bit if you can, but he definitely has that capability. I mean, he lined up at receiver. I think I think I looked. It was over 30 times he lined up as a receiver. He can pass block, which is huge for running backs. That's a big reason why a lot of running backs get taken out on third down is because they just can't pass block. But he can do it. There's really, I wrote down strengths and I just wrote down basically everything. Yeah. Um, and I was kind of scouring the videos for weaknesses and other people's opinions, and basically the only thing that came up sometimes was like maybe he's a little hesitant at the line of scrimmage, trying to make a big play where maybe he could just barrel forward and instead of losing a yard, he gains just a couple or something. But I mean, with a guy of his caliber, you can't blame him too much because he knows he can kind of take it to the house. Yeah, you mentioned the missed tackles. It was the most in a season that PFF has graded. It was 104 missed tackles, which again is a crazy amount in 12 games or something. So yeah, just he has everything. He's going to be a first rounder for a reason. He did have some injuries. I don't think they kept him out very much. I didn't double check how many games he played each year, but he had, I guess, a back, elbow, shoulder, and neck injuries in 3 seasons. So obviously they weren't super serious because I think he played every game last year. It was just, highly productive. So he's going to go very high, and he's probably going to be, number 1 overall in your dynasty drafts, I would say. Do you agree with that? He's going to be number 1 overall? Or?
Oh, definitely. Kind of like Breece Hall last year. And he was just starting to get warmed up with the Jets before he hurt his knee. So, but Bijan, hopefully, I think the interesting thing on draft day that on our the NFL draft on April 27th will be where's this guy going to go? What team is going to want to pick him? So I've seen Philadelphia Eagles. If he went to the Eagles and the way they run the ball with Jalen Hurts, it'd be that would be pretty crazy. I've heard the Lions. I know there's a couple other teams there.
Heard the Bengals, Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys down in the 20-something, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yep, he's good.
Yeah, he has a good chance of going to a really good team as well, which is awesome. Like we mentioned, all those teams are, Lions, Eagles, Bengals, Cowboys. Those are top-notch teams, and they're going to be good offenses. So he's almost like, I don't even care. Like, I care where he goes, obviously, but it's not going to change. He went here, he's no longer the number 1 pick. We'll get into. I think we're going to kind of record a little bit of a series of like going through each pick and where they should be. And I think, 90% of the teams should be taking Bijan number 1 overall. Maybe there's a case for one of the quarterbacks if you're like completely rebuilding, but should be Bijan. So
there's multiple teams that have more than one first round draft picks. And of course, there's a reason for that because they stunk. The team stunk not too long ago. I know the Texans right off the top of the head, the Lions, but I could definitely see. I feel like a team like that, you got this extra first round draft pick. Why not take especially like the Lions at 18. If he's there, it'd be like, wow.
Yeah,
we need to take this guy, but
yeah. But yeah, again, there's not much we can say. Everyone everyone knows if you're paying any type of attention. So, so we'll move on to again the consensus number 2 guy is Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama. Very different type of player than Bijan. Smaller, he's 5'11", 200, so he's like 20 pounds lighter, a little bit shorter. But he's awesome too. Just watching his film, and he has really good speed. I think he ran in the 4.3s, if I remember that correctly.
Yes, 4.3, 4.36.
Yeah, which is crazy fast. And he has really good agility, really good burst, good vision. He lines up at receiver over 80 times at Alabama, so he's going to be like the most ideal receiving running back. Maybe like a lot of people compare him to Kamara, and I get it because of the catching ability, but I think he's more explosive than Kamara. Kamara's a bigger back. think Kamara's like 220 or something. But he's going to have that type of impact, like the Ecklers, the Camaras, the CMCs, where he's going to, maybe not rush for 1,000 yards ever, but he's going to put up 1,800 total yards through receiving and rushing. So what did you think of Jahmyr Gibbs?
Yeah, he was the focus of Alabama's offense last year. So, and he played 2 years at Georgia Tech, and then he transferred to Alabama. So, and Alabama didn't have all the great wide receivers that they have had in the past. So they threw the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs quite a bit. And he runs really good routes out of the backfield, and he caught 44 passes. And, that's a lot for a college running back and stuff. And he even caught quite a few passes when he played at Georgia Tech, And but even though he is slight, like 5'11", 200, I still feel like he ran with some power, some authority. But he is fast, and in the NFL rookie draft, in the NFL draft, coming in here in less than 30 days, he's probably not going to get drafted in the first round. But again, this guy, he's going to make an impact.
Yeah. He's most likely a second rounder, but I could see a team sneak in at the end of that first round. One of these, again, better teams that don't need a whole lot. They already have their
City.
Yeah, like a Kansas City, or even we talked about like the Cowboys or something like teams like that where they were good last year. They don't have a whole lot of holes to fill, and so they're going to take kind of the best player that's going to add a lot to their team. So, he's good enough to where, like, in 5 years, if you told me Jahmyr Gibbs was the better pick over Bijan Robinson, I wouldn't be that surprised. Just because he's going to get a lot more catches, I think, and those are always more valuable in fantasy, especially in half or full PPR. They're always more valuable, and you almost want that from your running backs. They're not taking the 25 carries in between the tackles that can beat up a guy pretty quickly, get him out in space and stuff. So, I guess the one negative is like that I've noticed.
You need to repeat that. We lost your internet connection. Mike?
Yep, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. You need to repeat your one negative.
Yeah, it was just pass blocking. I think they used him as a pass blocker very much.
That's because he's always out running routes.
Yeah. But you will need to be able to pass block, like it's a necessary thing in the NFL. So, but I don't see him falling. What's that?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And
pass block.
I don't see him. I mean, where do you see him going in rookie drafts? Do you see him falling past pick 5?
I think he'd be, like somewhere 5 to 10. I think. Obviously quarterbacks are going to be. You're talking about a dynasty draft, right? Yeah, in a dynasty draft.
You said 5 to 10.
Yeah, I would say there 5 to 10. You'd have to, if he slipped into the second round, that wouldn't be a terrible thing. Or
I'd be shocked if you got into the second round.
I kind of wonder if he's like James Cook a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's bigger. James Cook is under 200 pounds, I'm pretty sure. He's bigger. He's faster. He's more explosive. So I think he's clearly better than James Cook, in my opinion. I would see him. I'd be a little bit surprised if he really got past like big 5 or 6. If you taking Bijan, the 2 quarterbacks, maybe 3 quarterbacks, and then it kind of comes down to, do you want the number 1 receiver or do you want Jahmyr Gibbs? That's what it's going to come down to. So, yeah, I see more of like almost like if you remember, I know you do, Jamal Charles type of player, like not the biggest guy, but just super fast and agile. And, people compare him to Kamara just because he catches so well, but Kamara's a bigger back, less explosive, in my opinion. So, but yeah, we'll get into the third guy. Got 3 very different guys. The next 2 that we're going over are Zach Charbonnet from UCLA and Devin Achane from Texas A&M, and they're in the consensus top 4. But I've seen some rank Achane 3 and Charbonnet 4, or vice versa. We're going over Charbonnet next from UCLA, a big back, 6'1", 220, so big and powerful, good speed, not amazing, but good speed. Yeah, what did you think of Zach Charbonnet?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with him. He played his freshman year at University of Michigan, and watched him quite a bit. And he was like, I'm pretty sure he was like the Big Ten Freshman of the Year in 2019. And then he lost his job to Hassan Haskins, so he transferred to UCLA, and he had one slow year like in 2020, but he was definitely the man there in 2021, 2022. Now this is a bigger guy. He's a senior, He's 6'1", 220. I think he runs about a 4.5, so he's not he's not terribly slow. He even catches the ball. He caught 37 passes last year, so he just looks like one of these straight ahead running backs. I wouldn't call him a Derrick Henry type of guy, but he's kind of a straight ahead, bigger guy, and
North South.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And he did catch a lot of passes. He's not the type of route runner or pass catcher as Jahmyr Gibbs. There was a lot of just like that little leak out emergency check down passes, which is fine. He doesn't really have anything athletically like that stands out, I would say, like his speed or his cuts or his lateral ability. There's just kind of a overall lack of athleticism, which isn't terrible, but he reminds me of a lot of like a David Montgomery type of guy. That if he's a bigger guy, can get a lot of carries, can catch the ball, but maybe he's not going to be very explosive. He's not going to.
I was thinking like Aaron Jones of Green Bay or something.
Yeah, Aaron Jones is a little smaller, but
yeah,
I get what you're saying there.
I mean, Aaron Jones kind of seems like he runs north south, and obviously catches the ball pretty well, but
yeah, and I mean, really good vision, and he can be a 3-down guy easily. He can be, do I think he's going to be super explosive and be busting off 40-yard runs and stuff? I don't, but we've seen it with guys, like I said, kind of why I said David Montgomery is just like he puts up his fantasy points. Maybe it doesn't look pretty, but he puts it up, and that's kind of what I see with Charbonnet a bit. I guess one of the slight thing to be concerned of, he did have over 600 carries in college, which is a lot of carries. So you always keep that in the back of your head of just the guy, like how long will a guy last? You know, the guy already has 3 NFL seasons worth of carries, right, under his belt in college. So, but yeah, I mean, is he kind of your number 3 behind these two guys, or is there someone else that we watched in this top 10?
I think, yeah, I think he fits the guy from Texas A&M that we're going to talk about. A, Achahi, Devin Achahi. I think he's
Jay Ajayi?
Ajayi. Yeah, okay. He's
A Chain.
oh A-Chain,
No,
A-Chain.
sorry, A Chain. Devin A Chain.
Yeah, messed
Mm-hmm.
his name up.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like him and the way he runs. He's definitely a different back, but you know, I'm not going to say too much because we're going to talk about him next.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. He probably is my number 3. I mean, that's taking into account that I think he's probably going to go also in the second round. But there are a couple guys that I could see being better than him, but we'll get to them. So our fourth and last guy that we're going to talk about in this video is Devin A Chain from Texas A&M. Again, very different. All 4 of these guys are very different from each other, I'd say. He's a small guy. He's 5'9". He's 185 pounds. He's really, really fast. I think he ran in the high 4.3s, I'm pretty sure, which is extremely fast. 4.32, which is crazy. Really good burst.
Really good speed.
Yeah. And he's not just like a speedster. He can force a lot of missed tackles. He makes good cuts. Seems to play a little bit bigger than what he actually is.
That's a good analogy there. I thought the same thing, that he was breaking tackles and powering through some situations in some of the videos I seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess the biggest concern, of course, is his size, and under 200 pounds. I think there was only 4 running backs in the entire NFL that were under 200 pounds last year, and just over the last few years, like the only fantasy productive guys that have done much that are lighter are Eckler and McKinnon, and they're both right around 200, over 200. So that's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting case study of like, is a team going to buy into him, and is he going to be more than a 10-touch change of pace type of back? That's the biggest thing. It's really going to be dependent on where he goes and how they decide to use him, because his skills, I think, could be up there with, like a Jahmyr Gibbs and a Charbonnet, but is a team going to allow for that to happen being so light? 185 pounds is small for a running back. So, anything else you want to say on A-Chain, or something you want to mention on?
He was involved with the passing game. He caught 36 passes last year for Texas A&M, out of the backfield, that's a pretty good number for a college game. He had he carried the ball almost 200 times, so he was very involved with their offense, and had a very good second year in school. It'd be his sophomore year. Mm-hmm. So he's I kind of like the way he looked, in the video. But again,
sure,
he's not going to be a bell cow, but he could definitely come in and be a change of pace back or something like that. And he ran track at Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. So he was on the track team, and so he's got some wheels, and that'll definitely help.
Yeah, he could be a little bit more, a little bit better of just a player on your NFL team rather than a fantasy guy. It's going to come down to how a team wants to use them. Someone's going to buy into.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
very good point. That you know he'll probably be relevant on Sunday, but is he going to get you a bunch of fantasy points? Maybe not. I don't know. He may. You know, we'll see.
yeah, yeah. It's going to be very, very interesting for sure. But I do like him a lot, and um, yeah, that speed is explosive at the running back position. You don't get speed, in the high 4.3s very often, um, as a running back. So, but because I don't think he can be or will be a bell cow, I kind of have him separate from these top three guys. Bijan, Gibbs, and Charbonnet. Not that I think Gibbs necessarily will be a bell cow, but he's going to get 15 touches, and 5 of those are going to be catches. Um, whereas with A-Chain, it's closer to like a 10 touch type of guy. But those are the consensus top 4. I personally think, in our next video, we're going to look at 6 more, and I think there's maybe 1 or 2 guys that I could see having a better impact than A-Chain as a fantasy guy. Any last thoughts on these running backs, these top 4 guys?
No, I think they're from like you said, the some of the physical traits on these guys are they're these top 4 guys are all slightly a little different. They get into the right situation, they'll definitely be flourishing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree for sure, and I think I can see, maybe even like 4 running backs going in the first round of rookie drafts, which is probably pretty unusual.
I heard.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just heard on the Sirius XM, the NFL radio, and they're pretty relevant on their content. They say there's at least 13 to 15 draftable running backs. Some of them will be in later rounds. These guys, not everybody's a first rounder or a second rounder. So just for you Dynasty folks, just pay attention. Just because somebody's drafted in the regular NFL draft in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, you know, they still definitely could be relevant. And you got to stock your roster up.
Yeah, and I think that number, would you say 13 to 15?
Yeah, so 13 to 15 is what I heard.
Yeah, I think that's probably even a little low. I mean, just going back and looking at the last 3 drafts, 2020, there were 18 running backs taken. 2021, 18, 2022, 22 running backs taken. So, I mean, the top 10 guys that we're going to be looking at, I think, are for sure all going to be drafted. So I think, I think that these 10 guys could be potentially drafted with a round 3 pick or higher. So, we'll see how it goes. We'll get into the next 6 in our next video. But as always, we appreciate you guys watching, and if you could like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're at 90 subscribers, so 10 away from our 100 mark, which is exciting. And we'll keep continuing to put out content. So we will catch you guys in the next video.
Adios, everybody.